eating junk food, standard American diet, and you're living on like boxed food and you know, just total standard American diet. I'll try to use like some real life examples where we can see. Somebody comes into me and they, you know, patient presents, 55-year-old female, she's overweight, inflamed, joint pains, migraine headaches, you know, stomach stuff going on, her digestion's all thrown off, and she's coming in and telling me, wants some help. Can you help me? I say, yes, ma'am, I can help you. Come on in. Let's get to work. And what's one of the first things that we're going to do is tidy up the diet. Because in that example, the obstacle to cure is your crappy diet. And until such time that that changes, I will be able to give you remedies and nutrients to be palliative care and sort of tread water. But we have to purify the system. The block between health and higher consciousness is toxicity. And that's key because this is the world we live in. There's a lot of toxicity in the world. Big pharma, big agriculture, biotech, Monsanto, everybody is poisoning everything. There are more poisons and toxins in the world. It's just the world we live in. We have to be cognizant of that and understand that. We have to purify the body. We have to purify the body until such time that a person can purify, and depending on what stage they come in at, there are stages of disease also in the Ayurvedic line. There is easy to cure, difficult to cure, incurable, and there are really no incurable diseases, but there are incurable people. There are no incurable diseases or conditions, but there are incurable people. I've had people come in to my office with like super advanced stuff, MS, or autoimmune things that are incurable in the allopathic world. And they come in and they got the right mental setup. They got a good attitude. They're compliant. They get on board with what's happening. They're with it. They're with the program. They do it. They get in. And those people get better. I've seen autoimmune conditions reverse. I've seen MS, people that can hardly walk. They start to walk again. They walk without canes and with fear of falling and stumbling and stuff. This is incurable stuff. But these people, they were with it. And they stayed with it. And they got with it. And the more and more they got better and better and better. Okay?
Would that do with the doshas?
Yes, it's how we approach the doshas. And it's if that person comes in and has a really tamasic mental setup and they're just like negative and pessimistic and lazy, tamasic, right? And they just don't think anything's gonna work. I don't take people like that on. I ask all those questions up front. But because I know, I'm like, I can fix this, but I don't know if I can fix you. You have not suffered enough yet. Go out and suffer some more. Try some more stuff. Then come on back and maybe I'll be here. I move around a lot. I change around a lot of stuff. I evolve quickly, you know, so you might miss the boat. You better get in while you fit in. Get in while you fit in. Get us the time. The doshas and the gunas apply absolutely in what kind of... Now, if a person comes in and they have a really sattvic mental setup, really optimistic, they have a lot, you know, they're really with it mentally. They catch on quickly. They have that pitta quality, you know, really good. Those are good people. Those are good signs that this person's going to get better. I've had people come in, you know, with this doesn't really happen anymore because I learned the hard way, but they come in and they may have something that's like totally easy to fix, like migraines or something like that, like and it's so easy for me to fix, you know, and but they come in and they're like lazy and depressed and they just can't like snap out of it, and they will maybe catch on for a second and then they follow up a couple of weeks later and it's like, how you doing on your diet? I don't do anything. Did you take your Rooney? No, I didn't really take my supplements. You take your Rooney? No, I didn't really take my Rooney. What are you doing here? What are we all doing here? It's like, I can fix this, but I cannot fix you. Only you can fix you.
The mental state?
The mental state. That person is very tamasic. They're exhibiting a lot of tamas, a lot of laziness, a lot of dullness, a lot of low frequency kind of stuff. Like it's like, hello, catch it. They just like can't catch it. And those people, you know, they float away.
So what would you do to work with their mental state?
Nothing. They float away and they go out and suffer some more and try some more stuff, and maybe they come back and maybe they're ready, because otherwise it's a vampire and they will just drain you. And these are the people that will come and just take all the time and ask you all the questions and the stuff, and it's just like on and on and on and on, but they can't get the action there. You don't work with people like that. I screen people out like that. And if you work with clients, you should too. You should ask those questions. Do you think you can get better? Is it possible for these headaches to go away? And if somebody's like, yeah, I totally believe they can, yeah, absolutely. I just need like a little help to kind of figure it out. I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. They're like, I don't really know. You know, my mom had these headaches. And
Would you ask it to somebody thinking that you're the person to heal them? Like, you do all the work.
The diagnosis there is powerlessness. The question is persons coming to you and they just keep coming and they're not getting better, but they keep kind of asking stuff. The diagnosis is really powerlessness. It's like that person needs to claim their power back a little bit. They have to take their power back, and you can kind of point them or nudge them in a direction, recommend a book, recommend a YouTube, recommend a class to go to, recommend a course to take or something to go do to catch on, and hopefully that person can take their power back, because the whole society is set up to create powerless people. Okay? The educational system is set up to create clerks and slaves and workers. That's the trip. They don't teach kids how to critically think. The whole Macaulay education system, the whole Common Core system is set up to create people that are powerless. And we got a whole generation, a couple of generations now coming out that are products of that kind of stuff. The medical system, you go in to the guy in the white coat and he's God. And he tells you, and basically you give all your power over because they know what's best. But we have to critically think and understand that medicine is a business, and that's a little bit of a diversion. But do you see, the thing is the powerlessness. So a person has to start to reclaim and recognize that power in themselves, which has kind of a pitta, a fiery, and a sattvik, a really high frequency, pure kind of a thing to it, a quality to it. Then that person starts to get some power back. Then they're able to actually do the stuff that you recommended. They actually get what you're saying. Then they catch on. Until that time, if they're powerless, just nothing to be done. Nothing to be done. So here's something to consider again, seasonal considerations. This is the continuous rhythm that is life. There's daily rhythms to the doshas. There's seasonal rhythms. And this is things that we take into account when we're addressing these things. So no single treatment for any diseases. The treatments are going to differ from person to person. And the doctor actually has to, this is essential, the doctor must be something different to each person. I relate to different people in very different ways. I have people that come in and I approach them in a certain way. And then I approach, their friend may see me, and I approach them, and I don't know what people talk about, you know, what's Dr. Tice do with you? I don't really know. But if they did, they would see like, oh, he didn't do that with me, he didn't do that with me. That's because there's no such thing as cookie cutter treatment. Because there's no treatment for diseases. There's only the approaching the patient. And that person's gonna have a different constitution, a different mental setup, a different set of life experiences. They're gonna be empowered to different degrees. So we approach all that differently. And that is crucial if you are working with clients or patients. You need to understand that everybody needs something different. And this, again, the allopathic system, I mean, we don't even need to unpack that one. We know what happens there, right? It's the this for that mentality. And that's why it doesn't work. You know, this is showing the rishis and the saints and the medicine men, they're all learning and discussing around the teacher there and actually working with the patient here. You see they're coming up with these things. So what are the different treatments? We're going to do different purifications we're going to use. We're going to take all of these things into consideration. Foods, routines, Ayurveda, which is energized herbs, alchemy, we're going to get fire, mantra, which is the science of sound, pranayama, which is the science of breath. All of these things may be prescribed as medicines depending on what that person's constitution is. What are they going to be able to receive and understand? What are they going to be able to do? Where is that patient? I have to meet that patient where they are and bring them into balance and then move them into their next phases. So when we're talking about food, we have to look at the different tastes, the different temperature, timings. Is it winter? Is it spring? Is it summer? The different natural qualities, spicy things, oily things, hot things, cold things, preparation. And there is a lot of rules when you look into the food in Ayurveda. I would say don't get lost in the forest of all the rules. If you get a book on Ayurvedic diet, and if you ever do that, you will end up with some highly specific diet that's almost impossible to follow. Don't get lost in that trip. Just get this understanding of how to bring balance to yourself and doing what is right for you at the right time of day, at the right time of life, the right time of season. Okay? And this is one thing, so I wanted to kind of transition into some of these things that you can actually do. What can you actually do here? And this is one thing I want to highlight. This is the thing about food that I want to transmit to you that is so key. The Earth Mother knows who you are. She knows who you are, and this is why it's so important to walk barefoot on the earth, because if you eat food that is grown locally to you, usually they say within walking distance is kind of the rule. So within walking distance is what it is. 3 to 5 kilometers, right? Where you would walk normally to gather your food. This example shows something that might look like today, right? If you're growing your own food, the earth, and there, again, there is a strategic intelligence, will actually put the medicine that you need in that food. Will actually put the medicine that you need in that food. That's why it is so key that we have to get back to a simpler way of life and grow our food. Growing our food, even if it's a little bit to get off the grid. If you can grow a little bit of herbs or a little bit of greens, a little bit of kale, a little bit of something, so you can, and then that, there's that intelligence there. It's like Wi-Fi, but it's way smarter than Wi-Fi. And you don't have to plug it in, and it's not disrupting the body like all the Wi-Fi and the 5G is, right? There is a communication here that's happening, and the medicine that you need to heal your body and your mind will be put into that food. So the take-home message is, find a way to grow some food. Find a way to grow something. Start small. Do what you can. Empower yourself a little bit, and then more will follow. Ayurveda is energized herbs. These are things like Haritaki, turmeric, neem are some of the ones that are kind of easy to find. You see, I'm keeping this a way where it's accessible, because in Ayurveda, if you have a clean stomach, you have a clean mind, and you have clean health. It's all about the gut. The navel center, this navel center can actually also produce all the medicine that your body needs. Mani Padme Hum. It's the medicine chest. And in the Western world, the majority of the nervous system is actually in the gut. This is where all the immune system is. It's where all the neurotransmitters are made. It all happens here. It's all happening right here. And again, nothing new here, because the yogis and the mystics and the Ayurvedic physicians from thousands of years ago, they knew this. They knew that everything starts with the gut. And if you have a clean stomach, you have a clean mind, you're going to have clean health. So daily practices, one thing we can all do is take Haritaki. Haritaki is the #1 detoxifier. It will detoxify the pineal gland. It will detoxify the gut and clean and cool the stomach out and balance that. And you can find organic Haritaki powder. And you can take half a teaspoon of that in a little bit of water.
What is it?
At Haritaki. You can find it. It's best to find a powder of it. If you just search for organic Haritaki powder. And it is a plant. This is, you can see, I kind of tried to show, there is the form of that, and then this is the pulverized powder of that. And that's the form that you can find. It's very easy to find. That's why I put some of these in. A lot of the Ayurvedic stuff is like totally like crazy sounding, and you have to kind of look for it or know what you're looking for. And I'll make sure that you guys all know where to find this, and I'll put together some links where this is going to be, where it's going to be found. This is a component of Triphala, the 3 fruits formula. It's actually a fruit, the 3 fruits. Okay, Amalaki, Haritaki, and Bibataki is a combination known as Triphala. That's a famous Ayurvedic medicine that's very, very common, wonderful for the digestive tract. And it's tridoshic. That's some of these things. These are tridoshic. So no matter what the constitution is of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or any combination thereof, you're safe, because there are many herbs and nutrients and things that are tridoshic. They're good for everybody. Okay. Here's another one, Neem Tea. Again, I'll make sure that you guys have sourcing for this and links for this if you so desire. We'll make sure that that's clear. But the neem tea is a tremendous blood cleanser. You get it in a leaf form and you just make tea out of it. It's like a loose tea. And you do a little hot water in there, mix it up, you drink a glass of that. It has a very, very unique taste. It's an acquired taste. Let's say that.
I wouldn't call it tea, I'd call it medicine.
It is a medicine. So to say tea would be a little misleading. So let's call it medicine because it's got some oomph to it. But it cleans the blood out. It cleans the lymph out. It will clean any non-beneficial bugs and bacteria out of the system. Okay, so this is again stuff that's pretty easy to find and you can roll it into your routine. If you take a little Haritaki at night before bed and then you take some neem tea in the morning, you're on a good start to balancing your digestive tract, which again, I'm leading you to getting that clean stomach, the clean mind, and getting the health built from the gut, which is where it's all going to start.
It's what the yogis do in action.
This is what yogis do. Again, what I'm telling you here is not just like some stuff that I spun open. I was like, oh yeah, let me think I'm going to tell them this stuff today. This is what the yogis do. This is what the enlightened beings do in the morning and in the evening. This is what the very advanced and very healthy and super spiritual people do. This is, again, I told you in the beginning, I'm a traditional fellow in that sense. I'm keeping it true to the lineage and to the teachings. And so anything that I've said here today is in my best attempt to keep it congruent and consistent with what is in the scriptures and the shastras. And that's what I would recommend. If you find anything or you're ever learning from anyone or curious about anything, look and see, are they keeping it consistent with the shastras and the teachings and keeping it pure there. So neem tea, this is what they do in the ashram, in the adinam. This is what all the sannyasis do, the renunciates, the monks, the saints, the sages. This is how they roll. So that's what I'm sharing. There's no end to this thing. There's no end to this thing. There are infinite combinations and permutations to this thing. But what we're seeing is cause is the effect hidden. We can't see. And effect is just finding out what the cause is. Removing the obstacles to cure, seeing and connecting the dots is what we're talking about. So it's not so much about what herb do I take for this, or what is, that kind of a thing. That part will come. That part is just materia medica, and if you're so inclined and you wanted to really take this further, that's the part where you can get from books and from things like that. You can look in and learn materia medica, see where the vata herbs are, see what the pitta herbs are, see what the kapha herbs are, see what things are going to make me more sattvic and more pure, see how I can balance my own constitution, see how I can bring more balance and more health and more longevity into my world. But the basic understanding that life is a continuous rhythm. And it's all about this dance of the elements and this kind of, it's all about this wave, this fluctuation coming in and out. And through different times in your life, through different parts of the day, you're going to be moving through this cycle. So understanding that is key. Once you have that understanding, then you can sort of start to hammer down and get the nitty-gritty. Okay, what food should I do? What herbs would be good for me? this kind of thing. Before you guys leave today, and I'll have a link for this, and I will have a handout for you to assess what is your constitution. You'll be able to go through and kind of check it out, and I see. And there'll be one for the constitutional analysis, and then one for the mental constitution, the gunas. So you'll be able to go through and see, and that will help you, again, kind of put together the pieces here. I would recommend doing this for yourself first. Get to know and get a feel for what is going on there. And then if you wanted to kind of like experiment or, you know, or kind of branch out a little bit with the people around you, you can do that too. No problem, okay?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Let's take a few minutes for questions.
The Neem Tea.
Mm-hmm.
For people that have autoimmune.
Mm-hmm.
Which I live with, but I'm in remission with lupus.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to do the Neem Tea since it's a blood cleanser?
The question is neem okay to do with autoimmune condition? And the answer is yes, absolutely. It's encouraged. Nothing that I've told you today would be not safe for anybody on any. Of course, disclaimer. We live in a funny world. Please consult with your doctor before making any changes to your healthcare regimen, and ask your doctor if this is right for you. Okay, that's the spiel, but the real answer is no. It's totally safe. It would be encouraged. Part of any autoimmune condition is going to be detoxifying the body, because oftentimes, not always, there's a contributing component to toxicities there that will set up an autoimmune process. Sometimes it just depends on what's your constitution, what is your susceptibility, and how that expresses in you. Some people it might be lupus, some people it might be thyroid stuff, some people it might be joint stuff or rheumatoid condition. Different for everybody, but Haritaki and Neem are going to be safe and effective. It might not be the magic bullet, but it's only going to do good. It will only do good. Okay, so... And you start slow with it, start slow with it, doing it, try it and roll it in, because they are medicines. They do have particular tastes and things. Again, that's part of the medicinal component of this whole thing. There are different tastes that correspond to the elements and to the doshas. And you'll see we use certain medicines or certain foods or spices or different things, and they have different ratios of taste, which is to say different ratios of the elements in them. And we want to try to balance that out using the principles that we've gone over, that kind of foundational thought. So this is the paradigm shift that we're moving through, and it really is beneficial for all of us to move into this. If you're interested in taking your power back and becoming empowered in regards to your health, this is a wonderful way, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to figure it out all by yourself. We can look to the knowledge of the Ayurvedic sciences and the yogic sciences as a tried and true, proven. There's nothing alternative about what I've told you here today. The new school is the one that's alternative. They're the ones that are the new guys on the block, but there's a big psyop going on that makes you feel a little bit out of the box or ostracized if you speak out of turn. Don't question, right? That whole thing. Stay on the line, be quiet, don't ask too many questions, that whole trip. There's that kind of a thing going on. You have to understand that part of things, But this is the solution, and I'm primarily interested in the solutions in the Ayurvedic medicine. The Ayurvedic teachings have tremendous solutions, and that's what I wanted to share about Ayurvedic medicine and transmit. Yes, one question here.
So if the doshas, if you find that you're a combination of two,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that okay, or which one do you pick to see if you're balanced?
Both. There's actually 8 constitutional types. There's not 3. Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and then the combinations and permutations of those. And then the 8th type being balanced. So you can be Vata predominant. You can be Pitta predominant. You can be Kapha predominant. Most people are a mixture of Vata, Pitta. They may be predominantly Vata and secondary Pitta. They will exhibit different characteristics of that. You can be Pitta Kapha. You see, you can be combinations. And again, there's not a good or a bad. It's really objective. That's why you can do a doshic analysis and go through and see where you're at. And it's just pure data. It's like the data, there's not one that's good or bad or better. Like a Vata Pitta fellow is no better than a Pitta Kapha person. Or, you know what I'm saying? There are combinations of those, and you just need to know where are you on that spectrum, and then you can kind of tailor your lifestyle to that. This is really a lifestyle approach. Okay, we can use it to bring balance, to dis-ease, and then we use it as a lifestyle, as a way to kind of strategize and engineer our own lives to keep you healthy, right?
So if your friend says, oh, you can't help, you're just a Vata, you just like, it's not really.
That doesn't really mean anything. It's just, it's something that people say. And we do kind of say it. It's again, oh, that's a totally, you're like, and I say it, oh, totally vata'd out, I'm totally spun out, right? That's the kind of thing. You talk about it in those lines. And I use those terms as part of my normal conversation, right? I don't do it with people that don't know what I'm talking about, because they don't know what I'm talking about. They're like, what is that fellow talking about? He's using weird words. I don't know what he's saying. Okay, so I do my best to stay grounded and stuff. But people that know, yeah, you can totally use it like that. I mean, yeah, you know, somebody's like, you know, road raging and like, you know, totally freaking out, like, you know, screaming and getting all red in the face, like yelling at you. That guy's all pitta'd out. He needs to chill out. Okay, that's how we would use the language there, right? And what would that fellow need? He would need some cooling, grounding, vata. But don't tell the guy that's pitta'd out and raging to chill out. Okay? Because that's just like throwing some wood on that pitta. Yeah, let's get him. Okay? Another question.
You had turmeric written up there, and I'm wondering if you could just say a couple sentences about turmeric.
Oh, turmeric, I put that on there because you'll see, and I've seen over the last really like 10, 20 years, you know,